Why, welcome, sir. Good to see you.
We'll be talking about
Good to kind of see you there too, Sammy.
Thank you, sir.
we'll be talking about church burnings. It's going to be a delight, Adam.
Woo!
I know.
Yes.
Why, welcome, sir. Good to see you. Oh, I'm blind.
Good to kind of see you there too, Sammy.
Oh, we are
Look at what he's
live, folks.
wearing.
We are live. Okay.
Oh, he's got his rider's garb on.
Let me. Okay. 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 Yeah, can you see me? Okay. 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 Welcome everyone, Donovan, Adam. Good to see you on Sunday, our weekly live show, and it's great to have you. And yesterday is it has been a World Teachers Day, and happy Teacher Day to you, our friend Donovan, who is a music teacher.
And
Yeah.
future. Everybody's a teacher, really. Ultimately, we're all teachers in this on this globe, on this journey we call life. So
Mhm.
thank you, Sammy. I appreciate that.
Thank you, so. So how have you been for since last week?
Oh, good. I've been busy. It's all busy. I'm doing all these musicals. I'm doing all these things in the community. It's quite hectic. I'm doing a little church thing in about an hour, so then I have to drop out. But don't worry, Adam is here. So this could be a marathon episode of the Sammy
Mhm.
Parvez show.
I actually will probably head out around 2:15. I got a few things on the go as well myself, but that still gives us an hour of fun.
Hour. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and Adam, you have a nice puppy.
Oh, I got two of them right now. They're very clingy.
Wow.
This is Scout. Oh yeah, hi Scout.
Hi,
And
Scout.
and Coco is here's Coco.
Hi, Coco.
Oh yeah. They're big fans of the Sammy Parvez show.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome,
Yes.
both of you.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Of course, Saskatchewan Rough Riders
Mhm.
winning and beating a Trey Fordless Edmonton Elks squad. The disgusting. Adam, how do you feel?
Well, I'm a season ticket holder. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about renewing my season seat for next year. That's what this season has done for me. I think it was another very winnable game. I would like to see a coaching change. I like Jarius Jackson as a person, but I just don't think he's right. I think he's still kind of under that Chris Jones umbrella, as Sammy probably knows all about in Saskatchewan. It's just things are not going well. Everything that should be going right doesn't. And it's been like that the whole season. So I'm getting pretty fed up. And I don't know. I mean, there's still no look towards the future. Like, I still have a hunch that the next game against Calgary on Saturday, and then they get a bye week, and then they play Toronto. I still think they might run out Bethel Thompson again. And that just to me is enough is enough. I'm done. I can't. So I don't know. It's frustrating. I mean, this is the first year since I think I saw 1945 that both teams from Alberta haven't made the playoffs.
Yes.
So very disheartening and also kind of scary for the future of the CFL in this province. Just different scenarios in each city, but I don't know. It's frustrating. I mean, this is the first year since I think I saw 1945 that both teams from Alberta haven't made the playoffs. Yes.
Oh, I can hear Adam.
I
You're
agree. I
really.
agree.
It's, I agree. We all agree. Adam, that was impressive. You threw your voice.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
good. It's tiring. It's tiring watching. And yeah, you're right. If everything was feeling good, it was on the up and up, right? But that's been the last two seasons now. Like it just seems like things are good. And then it's like, oh, they finally figured it out. And then they just crashed the plane. It's infuriating. It is
Well,
so ugh.
And I'm sick of hearing that Trey Ford isn't a starter yet. It's been 3 years. 3 years already he's been starting games. And I get it, he gets injured, but you would rather run out Bethel Thompson, who's an old geezer, or last year was Taylor Cornelius. And they gave
Yes.
Cornelius a huge contract. So, geez, it's a backwards organization. I hope Big Larry, the new owner, he puts his foot down and says, this is what the fans want. It's not about what coach wants.
Yeah. Ultimately, that is, yeah. It's not good. But yes, a new owner, you hope that shifts things in a positive way, you know? But of course it could be, we don't know. But Larry's seems to be a good old Edmontonian, blue collar, chip off the old block. Like he seems to have it all together. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, and what hurts too, Sammy, is your quarterback right now is our old guy. He was old in Edmonton. He's still winning in Saskatchewan. And so, all these years of a rotating door of quarterbacks, Loxley and Daggy got starts. And I didn't like Harris in Edmonton, but had they kept him around, I think they probably would have made playoffs at least in the last few years once. And he's very conventional. Like he is a very conventional CFL quarterback. There's nothing flashy really about his play. It's just accurate passes and getting first downs and clutch plays. Bethel Thompson has shown time and time again that in the final moments of a game where they need a scoring drive, he doesn't do it.
Mhm.
Amen. Amen, Sammy. But now the Rough Riders, though, huh? They're getting together. They're
Mhm.
starting to make some magic happen after they lost like 10 straight games. So that's pretty good.
And
Mhm.
with no running backs. Like last night, they didn't even have two healthy running backs. They ran the guy out that I think he had sat the last two games just as a bench player. So just shows the state of Edmonton's defensive line as well.
Yes. Oh, Lord. Yeah, an
Ooh.
easily winnable, game. Get that interception. Like, oh, I was like the little bit glimmer of hope. Those glimmers of hope, Adam, are just backbreakers.
And
It's
it's been
like,
every week that, like, I can't recall a season ever where it's been, oh, okay, I think they're finally turning a corner. They're looking okay. And that was 0-1, 0-2, 0-3. Every one of those losses, those first 7 losses, I thought, geez, right there. You are right there. And clearly I'm an idiot.
uh, not good. But that's the way it goes, Adam. The team has to win. Team has to lose. Right, Sammy?
Yep.
Or tie.
This is the
Or tie.
sports world.
Or tie. Or tie.
And what guys are you predicting will win the Grey Cup?
I think this is going to be Caleros' last hurrah. He's been banged up. Like, I know he's had a few concussions and he's, I think, 38, 39 now. Clock is ticking on him, but that Winnipeg team looks pretty dangerous.
Mhm.
So that's my pick.
Donovan?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, like I always have to look at those dirty, the Montreal is
Ooh.
always, it's like, that's like, you can't
With
discount a
Coach
team that's
Moss.
purely dominant. Yeah. Like it's really, it feels like it's an inevitability that it's going to be the Blue Bombers against the Owls. Um, and then it's just whoever has the best time. And I think, I think that's kind of the inevitability when CFL has this happen where there's just two dominating forces. Um, so I think that's probably, and I kind of wanted. It's like every time I'm like, Montreal's they keep winning, so I'm gonna have to say Montreal's got it.
Yeah, even that Alexander, their backup. who I wouldn't mind coming to Edmonton. He played really well. So, I mean, when you have a good team attitude and just
Culture.
a strong, culture, you're gonna win those close games. And I guess Edmonton just doesn't have that right now.
Larry's gonna sprinkle the culture. There's gonna be a name change. Oh, you better believe it.
You think there'll be a name change?
I think so. Well, the fact that he dropped the Eskimos, like he said it in his as an Eskimos fan when I was a kid, you're like, okay, like you're sprinkling it in there. It feels like it's gonna happen. You might it feels inevitable. You have that old school, yes, when I was a kid, I was rooting for the Eskimos, and despite the last several years of them not mentioning that name at all, and then your owner says it. So yeah, I think it seems like it's gonna happen. What do you think, Sammy?
Yeah, Sammy, who's your Grey Cup prediction?
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, I don't know, like they won last in 2013. I think this is time for Saskatchewan Rough Rider to take it. Saskatchewan. Or take
I
it.
will say at the game last night, Sammy, probably 3/4 of the fans honestly were Saskatchewan fans, or that's at least how it felt. It was ridiculous. And definitely louder for the Riders last night than it was the Elks. But I mean, you know what? It's funny. The loudest this team has been most of the season is when Trey Ford is in. No one gets excited to see Bethel Thompson in at QB. No one. It's almost like a dread. People dread it. And if they bring him in again next year, which there is still a chance because some people don't think Ford is a starter, I won't. I can't boycott. They're my team, but I'll be about as close to boycotting as possible. I won't be renewing my season seats.
Lead up October Revolution, 1970. It's on the field. It's going to be a green and gold revolution, and it's going to be violent. There's going to be violence in the stands. People ripping the seats out and throwing them on the field. It'll be a beautiful thing.
That's why they closed the upper deck so you couldn't hurl people off.
It was inevitable.
Yeah.
It was going to happen.
Sammy, I got a question for you.
Please.
So just to move away from football a little bit, because I can actually see in the screen my face turning more red, starting to match my sweater. You said you had on YouTube, you said you had 3 people cancel interviews on you this week. What happened?
So actually
Sammy,
the first
I got a question for you.
So okay, yeah. So actually this happened, what happened? So the first person, like there was an interview, I think it was last Saturday. It was Saturday. Honestly, no, Sunday, I think. So he told me that he will appear. Then he sent me a message. So he will appear after 15 minutes. He will be late because of his kids. So I said, okay, no worries, it happened. So then he did not respond, So he said, I forgot this and that happened because of like party and this. I said, okay. So he said that, then I said, are you interested to doing it again? He said, yeah, so we will do it next week on Saturday. I said, okay. So then I did not hear back. So that got one. The second one got cancelled because it was from BC candidate. Okay. Not going to name the party, but both party from, so the first one was from Saskatchewan. Second was from BC. We already talked. I don't know, like it was just 10 days ago. So suddenly just so it was supposed to happen on 2nd October. So I received a message. So I cannot do it because of our party, this and this going on. So let's reschedule it, and then we will be very short, like just a brief interview. So I did not respond to that one. I mean, that got cancelled. Because if you like, so you made your mind earlier, so we are going to do an interview, like now you suddenly change it. It does not make any sense. Tomorrow is going to be interview. You said, no, I cannot show up, or maybe 2 days ago, I don't know, or October 1st or 2nd, I received October 1st or September 30th. So I did not respond that one. I said, you don't deserve to be on the Sami Parvez show.
Yeah.
So the third one, the gentleman, like I think he got sick or what happened, like, but that was a reasonable reason, like valid reason, I would say. So he was sick or something happened to him. So he said there must be a reschedule. So yeah, so that was reasonable, but other two were not reasonable, like you admitted, you committed that you will appear. I took my time. So I made my mind. So I'm not going to do anything on that particular time, like, so that was the reason. 3 got canceled. Now I'm thinking to go. So I was not able to do, I did not send more interviews requests so far now because I was busy and I was expecting these people up here. And the second thing was I was working on my show to put my videos everywhere. As you asked me, like I tried my best to bring them in our Apple podcast, on Apple podcast. Unfortunately, yeah, I could not do it, but I put it on Spotify and Rumble. So we are on 3. Thank you so
Getting
much.
out there.
Yeah,
Getting out there.
thank you.
Yeah, it's frustrating for you, I'm sure, because I mean you have these interviews lined up, and I mean that's what the heart and soul of the Sami Parvez show. I mean, Donovan is the soul of the Sami Parvez show. But the essence of getting these interviews is pretty important. So it sucks that people are bailing on you. But I really enjoyed your interview with the guy. Oh, I forget his name. He wore a tie. He looked really spiffy. What was his name? Drayden or Braden was his last name.
Great. Oh, where was he from?
It was on your YouTube. Hold on, I'll look up his name. I liked that interview. You guys had a good chat. Hold on. It was with, the hell is his name?
Hello, everyone.
David Creighton.
Oh, David Creighton.
That was a great
David.
chat, Sammy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
David is my friend. He said that he always support me, like because of him, I got little bit promoted because he has a great wide audience. So he's a great journalist. He's on YouTube channel and he do live and on Twitter. I think right with I know like he's there. Thank you so much for phrasing that. No, you got. I'm unable to hear you guys.
Oh yeah, see, I was just saying that was a good interview. But
I was
yeah,
just
no, I hope
nodding.
you get more people like that.
Mhm.
Because when you get good discussion, more people are more prone to tuning in, and I think you're right on that verge.
Yeah, thank you.
You're on your way up still.
I
Yeah.
will say too, Sammy, your interviewing skills are growing tremendously in the last probably several months. Like you're really starting to get comfy. You're feeling more confident, and I think the audience is feeling more comfortable because you're feeling more comfortable. You're doing great, Sammy. You're doing great.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Your appreciation, feedback, are a lot to me, and it motivates me to do more.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was watching my old videos, so now I know like little bit I have improved. Like I'm not perfect, but I have improved.
Pretty damn close.
Mhm,
The heart, the beating heart.
Yes.
mhm.
The beating heart of the Sami Parvez show truly is Sammy. And Sammy, I saw those hats. You put hats up. Hey, everyone, if you're interested in some Sami Parvez merch, make sure you check this link below if it's there. It could be. There's Sami
It
Parvez
looks really
hat.
nice.
Yeah,
It looks
Very
slick.
nice gear.
yeah, those are from Sask designer. Like that is my sister is doing like that work. Like she creates like those design and sell them on red bubble, I think that is called, and there is another one. So I asked her if she can make something regarding like Sami Parvez show. So she also designed this Sami Parvez show logo too. So that's why I always put her like that logo there. So yeah,
That's your sister, Sammy?
yes,
Shout out to your sister.
thank you.
Yeah. What's her name?
I cannot tell her name here. Like
Fair.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Shout out Sister Parvez.
Sister Parvez. Sister Parvez. Nuns don't work on Sundays. Anyways. Sammy, what do you have on the docket today? I saw that you'd mentioned the Hogue inquiry.
yeah,
We
okay.
also have the BC NDP taking the elections BC court of desperation. There's a lot, and then what do you want to start with?
Yeah, let's grab like a BC, like BC took a BC election to court to remove the name of Conservative Party. I think it is Conservative Party of British Columbia. It says that it should be BC Conservative. You know, like how similar are Conservative Party of Canada and Conservative Party of BC. So people, whenever people go on election, like uh so it means they will think about the federal one, like then they will mark Conservative Party, like that was in Da- David Eby.
Yeah.
Its name is David Eby, right?
Yeah, the NDP leader of BC is David Eby.
Yeah, David Eby. So David Eby mind was, oh, if I would change the name, like maybe people would turn like maybe switch their votes, like now these BC NDP and conservatives are neck and neck. Maybe I saw a couple of days ago some polls which suggested that it means BC NDP or yeah above BC conservative are ahead of BC NDP, so it could be a tight race and maybe BC conservative could win, and that was the reason, but the court said no, it is not, like it means those whatever the name are valid, dismiss the appeal.
Yeah, it's a little bit, regardless of like desperation, regardless of the reason for it. It's whatever the people perceive it as. That's one of the things with politics, is it's about 80% what the people perceive. No matter what your intention is. I think, you look back in 1993 when Kim Campbell released and the PCs released that ad of Jean Chrétien's face, and then they're like, do you trust this prime minister? Is this somebody that you trust? And it's all these still frames. I don't think their intention was making fun of someone with Bell's palsy, but inevitably, that's the audience, the people, the population of Canada saw it as an attack on someone with, and that is now what the meaning is. And similarly, the NDP might have said like, hey, this isn't what your party is. Like, this isn't the party that you're running for, but what the people are going to see it as is a desperation move from the NDP, which it could be desperation as well. It does feel like that. But yeah, going up and saying, hey, that's not the actual name of your party, and going to the courts while Elections BC says we've already printed off all of these ballots that have Conservative Party. Like, sorry, that's just what it says. We printed off everything. It's too late. You should have, if it was really that big of a problem, you probably should have mentioned it a few months ago instead of literally 2 weeks. Like it's weeks. Like we're getting down to close to single digit days. Like, okay, oh yeah, geez, we're gonna print off everything. So it's regardless of if they were feeling that, hey, that's not your name, that's not right, it should be your name, it looks desperate. And I think that's ultimately what everybody is noticing, which is another sort of idiot move. It's desperate times call for desperate measures, but when your voters are seeing, hey, you're desperate, we're not going to really respond too well.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know like why now they are like now they are very afraid, like I mean they are now in panic mode. Before they were not expecting that BC conservative could come this close because I saw a poll back in 2023 and I wrote a piece on that one regarding whatever that poll was, how it says, like they were just behind BC and DP, and no one was expecting that conservative could come that much close. Maybe they now can form the next BC government, and so they are in panic mode. BC and DP is completely in panic mode now. They will do everything in their command to take over to do something to take over the lead, but I don't think they are going to take any lead. And with respect to people, like for British Columbians, so it could be a great opportunity to change the government. Like if you keep the same government, same policies, more corruption. Like they stop working for the people. They would start working for themselves. What's your take, um, Adam? Adam is busy.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm listening. It's just I really don't have much to contribute to this. I think that they're wasting so much time when they could actually be discussing real issues. Who cares about a name? Are you kidding me? And that's where like Canadian politics at the end of the day is just it's like an endless circle of nonsense. Like you guys have bigger fish to fry and you're worried about a name? Like, are you kidding me? I think people are smart enough to figure out who and what party they associate with most, but clearly not. Clearly, someone's got to be designing a new logo and new campaigns just because. Oh, yeah, there we go. See you, Sammy.
Well,
We both we're it's like a rotating door today. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm sick of this sort of like time wasting. I think like are you kidding me? Like, why? Who is
well,
this important for?
it's a
Mhm.
thing that I'm noticing too with like the federal government, where the Conservative Party led by Pierre Poilievre, they're putting these motions forward to call into confidence the government, but it has to be done in such a way that is full of partisan language and flair, right? So it's
Mhm.
like instead of it ultimately, I think it would just be better if they said, do you have the house no longer has confidence in the government and we are calling into confidence, but instead he has to fill it full of his phrases of we're having problems with this government, this is a government that is so we need common sense conservatives, and we are calling into question the confidence in this house, and a belief that a conservative common sense approach to axe the tax, bring back the jobs, build the houses, and it's just like this fluff. It's like I don't care. Nobody cares. Just
It's
just
time
put the
wasting. And
it's
and
just
we
it,
pay for it.
Yeah.
yes, yes. And right now the government's frozen because of the liberals' idiocy of not releasing forms of like. So right now, did you know that, Adam? That right now the government can't. Our federal government is unable to debate anything right now.
Well, I saw there was
Did you?
question period on Friday, but I heard something about it being frozen. I don't know what the story
So,
is, but
well, yeah.
it's
So
it really doesn't matter if they're frozen or not because all they do right now is Pierre gets up there and instead of talk because Pierre's almost guaranteed a majority right now. And so
yes.
instead of going up there and talking about what he has planned for Canada, he is still focused on going after Trudeau and the Liberals as if it really matters. Instead of looking ahead, he's looking at right now and he's wasting so much time and yeah, I don't know why they're frozen, but I'd imagine it has something to do with that.
It's because the government has not released foreign interference. There's a combination of things, but um there was almost $1 billion that the federal government put aside to do green jobs. We're going to get the economy and kickstart it, which the ethics commissioner investigated and said 97 of these are conflict of interest. About $35 million here is unaccounted. Like there's just millions of dollars missing from this. And so the Conservatives said, well, we need to see the details of this, the unredacted files, to which the federal government said, no. The Liberals are like, we're not going to release this. And so just once again, we have this idiocy of like, wouldn't it be nice if everybody was just transparent and not trying to cover their asses? Like to say, hey, here we go. This is what we did. We screwed this up. It's like nobody knows how to apologize anymore. It's just like nobody can sit down and be like, we screwed that up. Our bad. But everybody has to sit down, and you're right. Like it's like right now, the Liberals have been kneecapped. Like it's like somebody came up with a gun and shot their knees. And now instead of running the race to win the 100-meter dash, the Conservatives would rather just keep kicking the poor legless man. No, Sami, what happened? Yay, we're back. Let's go. Oh, instead of kicking this, instead of running the race, the Conservatives would rather just kick this poor little guy down that can't even move. It's dumb. Everybody's stupid. Politics is dumb. I hate it.
Yeah, even I watched an interview yesterday. It was put on Trudeau's Twitter account. He's talking about everything in past tense now. It's as if he doesn't even feel he has power anymore. Oh, my biggest regret is not changing first past the post. And he's doing it with this MP. The interview was him and one of his MPs. And geez, man, you still could. You could have. You could be doing that. But instead, they're just having pissing matches.
It's like you're still the government. Like you can sit down and be like, okay, we're gonna this. And I've mentioned this in interviews when I've been on like Chad during the long ballot thing. Is if it would be cool if we had somebody putting a good faith effort to making first past the post, if they want to get rid of first past the post and have electoral reform, to have a good faith effort. But it feels like they never do. And that interview is 100% proof of it, that, as soon as we hit a little bit of a roadblock, it's impossible. Oh, well, we're just going to give up. And you're like, and it's just, and to post that is insane. It's like, I'm trying to be humble, but like, you're still the government. Like, this is a thing you say 20 years from now when you're talking to robot Peter Mansbridge in an interview, like a one-on-one interview, and you're sitting down and you're talking and you're like, this is my biggest regret. My biggest regret was the failure of but no, you're doing it while still in government. It's stupid. I'm fed up. It's irritating. I'm not much of I don't like any party. Obviously, I run for the Rhinos all the time, but there is a time and place where you do need to have change. And regardless of who comes in, to kick out, reset, Liberals can reset. Conservatives are in power. Fine. This is the way our system works. And then inevitably there will be controversy because that's the way it goes, because we have all these people, rich lobbyists, suckling each other's teats, and then we'll start it all over again. But like ultimately a change does need to happen. We're looking at it with the NDP and the BC. Like it's a part of the way it goes, particularly in Canada. We go about 10-year cycles, unless it's the 50s and 60s with Deef and Pearson, where it was just like, we're going to have an election every year for the next 7 years.
Were there 7 election back?
Oh, just like that was just the time when they kept Pearson and Diefenbaker, and it would just be minority governments, and then they'd be like, we're going to work hard, and then in a year and a half they just like, never mind. And so that's about where it's at.
It'll be cool too. Well, not cool, but Diefenbaker was an MP until I think 1973. And I mean, he was out in 63. So we're not going to see that with Justin. Like, at least there was a guy that was invested in Canadian politics, so passionate about it that, hey, I'm going to stick around and I'm going to make sure I do everything in my power to represent my riding and stand up for Canadians. I don't feel that with these politicians. I feel like once they get out, they don't care anymore. They're more interested in self-interest. And
Mhm.
so what are you even doing here anymore? Get lost. Beat it.
I think Scheer is still kicking, and he
Is
sort
Shear
of
still in town?
Andrew Scheer still, he's the House. He's like the leader of the conservative like House.
Oh, okay.
He's like their top guy. So he's still like, give him credit, because I think
Yeah.
O'Toole's, I think every lot, most of them, right? Ignatieff. It's like,
Yeah.
bye, good luck. But like Scheer is still, give him credit for how milk toast he was, but he's still kicking and
Yeah.
still sort of doing his thing. So yeah, it's but you're right. It's few and far between. I don't think as soon as you lose, you get a job as a lobbyist. That
Yeah.
seems to be the way to go, or you get like a UN. Depends on which side, right? If you're conservative, you'll go and get a job as a lobbyist for a private equity firm, and then if you're liberal or NDP, you get a job at the United Nations. And that's it. That's the cycle continues of everybody's massaging each other's backs. Lots of palm greasing in Parliament, right, Sami? Lots of greased
Yeah.
palms. And what do they grease it with? They grease it with the essence of the sweaty essence of Canadians, and it's disgusting, and
And
it's
chemtrail.
foul. Just chemtrails,
Yeah.
chemtrails.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Like with respect to these politicians, the current era politicians, they would just work for themselves. This is not about helping people or working for the people. This is all about working for themselves. Get the power, get the money, then just leave and spend a great life, like somewhere else. And with respect to Justin Trudeau, I'm hearing a lot from the politician, even though David Creighton also mentioned it. Adam said it was a great interview. So he talked about Justin won't leave the politics. He will leave here. He will sit in the UN, like United Nations, maybe a general secretary or something like that.
Yeah. If you're planning to leave politics and you see the writing on the wall, get lost. I don't want to have you lingering around any longer than you need to be.
Yep. And what do you hear with respect to, I know like we are out of the topic, but I need to hear from both of you. Like with respect to, as we were talking about Pearson and Diefenbaker, were they like is they were like a great politician at the time, like when they were not even the prime minister. What they do you hear from your teachers or parents? Were they as much famous at that time as now we know them?
Well, like yeah, like a lot of their influence is still felt. But like I would say, and I've said this, politics took a very strange turn, really Western democracy did, right around that 70s, when all of a sudden there was a lot more influence from corporations than there ever really was. For quite a while, there was a distinct difference between public and private and different industries. But then as time has gone on, really around that 70s time, and definitely you started to see it chip away, and then hard in the 80s. It's really 1980 until today. Corporations have been meddling quite incestuously with our public offices, and I think that's when we sit down. As much as people might hate Pierre Elliott Trudeau, there was still enough of a belief in public office that you could at least somewhat respect. But
Mhm.
really, once Mulroney came in and sort of privatized a bunch of crown corporations and started to give deals to sort of all these different things, not to mention, like the backroom deals where he gave millions of dollars to corporate backers and all these different affairs and all this stuff. Really, 1980, I think, was the critical point, but we started to see it chip away in the 70s. But 1980 is when it just sort of went full pedal to the metal. And really since then, all of our politicians, and I think that's why part of it too is, you know, rose colored glasses. We like to look back on things and be like, Canada was so much simpler when, you know, that we were, the biggest problem was a plane didn't take off. But now I do think that really that moment, once that 80s hit, once sort of the rise of that neoconservative Reaganomics, that push towards corporations we need to give more tax breaks to corporations. We need to really befriend all of these corporations that don't really give a damn about you outside of money. And then our government has been purchased by it. And there's so many loopholes with lobbying, and it really feels as if that is the moment where everything shifted. And I think it's just, as time goes on, we're going to find out more stuff in the closets of Harper and more stuff in the closets of even Chrétien, of all these different folks, where we'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that they were giving all these deals. But that's just unfortunately the way that the system is right now. And it's people are getting congratulated for it. You get promoted if you kiss enough ass. And that's where ultimately everything shifted dramatically. And you sit down and you look, it's so quaint with like Lester B. Pearson. Like it's so quaint and wonderful with Diefenbaker and the Diefenbunker. You're like, this is so nice. It's like, I miss this. I miss the time when it wasn't like social media and constantly getting barraged with these stupid slogans from everybody. And it's just, it makes you, you just want that. And I hope ultimately that there's a shift as a certain generation starts dying out, that we start to shift our priorities towards that. But I think our parliament is held by the balls by these corporations. And unfortunately, the way things are going, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yep. Yeah, like, but yeah, like right now we are hearing about the same thing, like what those folks, like those corporates or those lobbies were working for liberals. Now they are more friendly to conservative, you know, like they know like the next government will be a CPC government, conservative government. So they need to be more like uh, friendly with Pierre Pouliot and his party members. So they will form the government. But let's come back to you. You are mentioning that Maruni is like privatized lots of things, you know, like giving billions of dollars to corporates. So was it a great mistake to be getting more friendly, you know, like to corporates and these corporations? Like these, I would also always call them tycoons, you know, like what we saw back in 2019. Also, Trudeau gave $12 million to Loblaw just for change those refrigerator to make them like green, I don't know, like green energy or something like that.
I'm not going to sit down and say that I'm like anti-lobbying, anti-corporate, you know, kill all the corporate. I'm not saying that. But I think that there needs to be, in particular, a lot more transparency into the decisions that are being made. And I think that's if you had it, right? Because right now, like, and it's the same thing. Pierre Poilievre a year and a half ago said, "I'm done with corporate lobbyists. Corporate lobbyists have no place. When I become prime minister, they're all gonna." But yet, half of the Conservative Party National Council is made up of lobbyists, despite lobbyists representing a fraction of a percent. And so, like, ultimately, the issue is when you have these decisions that are being made behind closed doors, and we don't know why. You know, look at Arrive Can for our government, for the Liberals, right? You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna private contract this developer for an app so that Canadians who got vaccinated, you know, you can prove it and you're back to Canada. And then that whole thing where there's like millions of dollars that have gone missing, but we don't even know why they chose that programmer. We don't know why they chose that. It's all these decisions that are made behind closed doors. And I think that, like, and that's really what drives me off the wall. Like, you're gonna have to have lobbying. I'm not saying get rid of lobbying, because that's dumb. You know, you should have advocacy for your corporation. Hey, we think that we're the best ones for this. but like have some semblance of a reason as to why you chose this one instead of the other. And if you had something simple like, hey, if you're going to vote, if you're, let's say there's Corporation A and Corporation B, and we had rules in place that you had to show how long you talked with each corporation. And then we see that the Liberals talked with Corporation A for 98% of the time and then went with Corporation A instead of 2% with Corporation B. You could sit down and say, oh, that seemed like an unfair decision. It seems like the Liberals had this already chosen in the way, but all this stuff is just in the back rooms. We'll never know. And I think that's where I lose my mind. Like, I just want clarity on things, right? This is my freaking money goes to these people, and then they have these deals with all these folks. It's going to happen with the conservatives. It's going to happen with everybody. Lobbyists get their greasy fingers in the orifices of our politicians, and we're just supposed to go, that's normal. And it's not. It shouldn't be, but it's the way it is right now. All these greasy fingers and all these holes, all these pies have these fingers full of them. It's disgusting. It's gross. And like, yeah, and that's the thing with Mulrooney is that like all these deals happen in the back room, and then you don't know why. Why did we go this way? Was this the best choice? And then we don't find it out. It's all redacted, and it's like, oh, this is great. I really love the fact that my government that I pay my taxes to has all these secret backroom deals. Don't worry. Well, it's like in New York, Eric Adams is getting screwed. The mayor of New York is getting completely pilfered because of his connections with Turkey folks, Turkish individuals.
Unlock his phone.
And his lawyer said politicians are expected to get free food. They're expected to get upgrades. It's an expectation. You shouldn't be You shouldn't be upset that politicians get the better table, that they get free appetizers. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, that's insane that you're trying to justify that this is okay. Like, no, it's not. Like, God, but that's said, like, really, that's ultimately when it all shifted. And it's like the Liberals are just as guilty of it. The sponsorship scandal, like everybody's guilty of it. And we'll find out in 10 years, Justin Trudeau had way more money that was invested in stupid things. And then when Pierre Poilievre steps down, it'll be, 10 years later, oh, good. Pierre Poilievre was suckling the teat of this CEO and you're great. Awesome. This is good. It's just, I just can't. Sami, I'm tired. I'm tired.
We are going through the same circle, you know.
Yeah, and it's just like there's simple ways of fixing this, but there's no way the politicians are going to do it. The establishment politicians. Why would you change something when you get these nice little things? You get right now, political party donations are like $3,300. What's stopping a CEO from giving $5,000 bonuses to all of his employees and saying, on the contingency that you donate $3,300 of this to my political party? There's nothing in the rules that says that that's not acceptable. You can do that. Like and so then we're shocked that, oh yeah, don't worry, we have political party limit donations. Oh, wait a second, you can just get around it. Like there's so many, it's just stupid. But definitely the political parties will have no problem with that. They're never going to change that. There's no way they're going to change that. Could you imagine them changing? Oh, yeah, you're right. We should put a hard limit of $100 on our political parties. They won't. And then because it's none of it's fair for them. And it's this establishment nonsense that drives me crazy, Sami.
Yep.
Sorry, I've been ranting. You got me like all hot and bothered. I'm just rock hard and rage right now. It's unbelievable. Woo.
You are speaking on behalf of all Canadians who are frustrated with these these politicians, you know, like these major parties or career politicians who are just wasting hard-working Canadian taxpayer dollars for their own benefits. You know, like why don't you donate these people? You know, like there are many unemployed. There are many people are begging on the streets. There are many homeless people sitting outside. Why don't you build houses for them or other opportunities or on the reserves? Like people don't have pure drinking water. What else can you expect when in a first world country like what is called Canada, where people don't have access to clean drinking water. Can you
Yeah,
believe?
like that should have been dealt with in 1 year. And I've heard all these excuses. When I ran and up here, I was doing a forum with and the conservative person said like, well, it's just it we don't have the infrastructure like because he had been right the water problem's been a problem for 150 plus years like and there are still reserves like there should be it behooves me that we're still having there's still reserves that don't have clean like you just stop government should just stop and be like we are going to fix this in 1 year and you just invest as much as you can in it to make sure everyone has clean drinking water I don't but like everybody pushes their, we're going to drag our heels. Oh, geez, this is so blah, 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 blah. And like, he said, what did he say? It was something so insane where he said that, like, and then it was crazy because, like, the PPC and the Maverick guy were like, why don't we just train people? We have online modules. I think it was something that like the system's really complex and it'd be difficult to have these experts. It's like, well, we have online modules like people would want to work and you can't sit down and use it. But that was his excuse for why Harper didn't get it done. And it's just you're always going to have these whiny excuses. But yeah, it's for a first world country. There's actual tangible problems. So let's try to fix it instead of just whining about nonsense. Adam, sorry, what do you think about all this?
I'm with you. Yeah, just you're right. Like, how do you not install infrastructure for clean drinking water? And how does it take this long? Like, I understand you're up in the Canadian Shield, but right now there's such a huge focus in Canada on Indigenous populations and these people trying to bring them jobs and bring them education. Well, geez, wouldn't that be a nice project? Wouldn't it look like an accomplishment on the behalf of these people who have struggled and been the the victims of colonialism for this long that, hey, maybe at the very least we can give you some clean water. Clean water. That's it. That's all. Yeah, hey, you don't need to boil your water anymore. But no, instead we're gonna sit on our hands and Pierre and Justin are gonna go back and forth while Mr. Speaker stands there with his little Kermit the Frog face and do nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it goes back to like you guys were talking about the crown corporations being privatized. Well, if you had a national corporation that was focused on bringing water to people, it would work. It would work. And you know what? People who worked for that corporation would get federal pensions and they would get coverage and it would be done probably not well because I mean it's a federal project, so there'll be 100 million holdups, but the ball would be rolling. And instead, we sit there and we waste. I say we as the politicians, but we just waste time. And people slowly, instead of catching up in terms of like the hierarchy, in terms of status, people continue to fall and everyone else moves. Why aren't people moving up north in the first place? Well, maybe there's no infrastructure. Well, okay, let's just cram more people into Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary. And let's overwhelm Calgary's infrastructure, especially their water, that already has been a disaster this summer. And we'll just hey, everything is fine. We'll just put more money into that.
And I need to ask you, Adam, you are studying sociology. So how do you study like so what should be done? I know like I have asked to many politicians too. What should be done to change the people psychology to let to encourage them elect independent candidates or from French party candidate, like vote for them instead of like these major parties, like they are not going to do work for you, but work for themselves.
Sammy, politics starts at home. It starts when you're a little kid and your parents tell you, hey, this is who we vote for, or this is who we don't like. And that plants the seed that grows forever. And I think it all begins with discussion, frank discussion, because I don't think we're ever going to get rid of parties. But if people talk to their kids about different options, which they won't, that's the thing, is it's a pipe dream. By the time you and I are dead and gone, it will still be the same parties, the same structure. And so it's tough for me as like a social studies teacher to go into the classroom and be optimistic. But the thing is, eventually people are going to clue in a little bit there, and social media has brought us together in a way that never was available before. And I think people will become more involved in issues than ever before. It's just getting the money to actually make a difference. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer, Sammy. I've taken all these classes and not one of my profs has given me an answer either. Because I mean, as a teacher too, you got to be impartial and got to understand every view and where it comes from. And even, at the end of the day, a lot of money, like my pension and my salary will come from a government that is collecting money from huge corporations. And so how can I say bad things about the livelihoods of our province when it's like, oh, geez, I don't know. It's a
Are you
mess,
teaching
Sammy.
right now?
Hmm?
Are you teaching as well?
No, not right now.
Mhm.
No,
Okay, so
sir.
you want to be, and you are talking about in future.
Yeah, down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So what you taught by your parents, if you don't want to like, don't share, but if you want to like, what you taught to vote for a particular party?
No, not really. My parents aren't very political. And that's the thing too, is lots of Canadians are not political. And when they are, they see the worst of it. They see the arguing and they see the name calling and they see the zero progress and they see the no clean water and they see the taxes. Um, so just yeah, in being more informed, and that's the thing, is I grew up in an age where social media was in the palm of my hands. No generation prior to mine
Yeah.
has had that. And so now it's using that for good and holding people accountable. But at the end of the day, I'm just one guy, and most people don't care enough to really make a difference. And I'm going to be busy. I probably know I'm not going to make a difference, but at least I can talk, to people about it. And I hope more people become more familiar and able to talk about Canadian happenings instead of just being content with how everything unfolds. But like I said, at the end of the day, people have a job to do and they have money that's coming in. And once they're comfortable, I don't want to stir the pot. I do
Yeah.
not want to get myself in trouble. And the only people that seem to be comfortable with getting themselves in trouble or stirring the pot are the politicians. Well, why are they doing that? For their own interests, usually, right? And whatever. Hey, I guess I could have gotten into politics too if I wanted to, but I'm not a nut bar.
Mhm.
Yeah, you have to be a special kind of sick, twisted freak like me to run almost 10 times in elections. But there's a
The
really
man
good
thing.
I'd recommend it. It's it's American based, but John Boyes is a guy that does sports documentaries on YouTube, JONBOIS. But he does a really interesting one on the Reform Party of the 1990s United States with like Ross Perot and Jeff Gargan and Jesse the Body Ventura. And it's a really fascinating look at the almost toppling of what has been established for 300 years, the the United States, of this rise almost 300 years straight of the Republican 200 years, sorry. But like it's a really interesting look at the rise of that. And and Ross Perot and the attempt of that, and then it does, and he sort of highlights it and compares it to sort of what's happening today of the rise of third parties and the opportunity of having that change. And there's it's tough. You kind of have to. He says a really poignant thing where he said that the problem is with a lot of these movements is that they think that they're going to be the one that lands on the moon. Like they think that they're going to be the lunar lander. But the lunar lander didn't just get to the moon. There's a stage 1, there's a stage 2, and those things will flop. But there's a push that needs to happen that a lot of people, once they start to get that power, I mean, we see it a couple times with some parties like that. As soon as you start to get that little push, you're like, we're going to be the ones that land on the moon. But you need to almost believe that you're not that, and that you are going to be pushing towards something greater. And it's a really good. It's called Reform. John Boyes. I'd recommend watching it. It's a really fascinating look at. And then the inevitable collapse when you think that you're the one that's going to make it and you haven't established anything. Yeah, I'd say that's sort of the way to go. But Sami, we ran out of time. It looks like I have to get going because I have some church things to do. But it was a fascinating. This might be one of my favorite episodes yet. It was very passionate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to, as you are going to church and appreciate it, but there are lots of churches are burning down. Do you think, is it related to those which says that remains of indigenous children who were in the residential school were found since then, like back in 2021, and which some reports suggested over 100 churches were burned down. Is it related to that, or these are just like fire shock or something like that?
I mean, you're going to probably have a little bit of both. Like, obviously, I think some people, when you have people that are upset, but like this most recent one that went viral, you have, that starts to get kind of questionable. You have a church that's been not used for 5 years, was shut down, was purchased by a private real estate developer, and then all of a sudden it lights on fire. That one, I'm like, well, it hasn't been used in 5 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then, of course, we talked about this last time, right? You should always question who's sharing what, and and always stop and question things and do that little bit of research, right? And I think that too many people, you get mad, right? Angus Reid fell for it and shared that, and then it immediately reneged on it, being like, oh, well, actually, this wasn't being in use, and it looked like they were thinking of tearing it down, and that was all in the private developer kind of thing. But I think it's got to be a combination of both, right? Buildings light on fire, that's a thing. But I also think that when people are mad, people tend to do things or look at just anything. Like as soon as people get upset, things happen. It's unfortunate that human beings are built like that, but that's the way it goes.
Yep, thank you. Adam, are you willing to stay, or you want to go too?
I can stay for another like 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Donovan,
well,
thank you so much
for the show.
being here.
See you, Donovan.
Yeah, thank you. You take care, please. Okay, Adam.
Yes.
So let's talk about yourself. Like like I watched your video repeatedly. I don't know how many times. The one you just shared why you are watching like Sami Parvez show, and why you are a fan of the Sami Parvez show. And you also mentioned that it means what would you do differently than others, and what you brought up. So when you are growing up, so were you at that time were interested to study sociology, or you wanted to be, like in third world country where I was born and raised, especially in Turbat, Balochistan, where people psychology is just commonly to be a doctor or be an engineer, like just those are the two jobs which make you to make more money. This is the psychology on there. So could you please talk about yourself?
So I would say I took a pretty early interest in politics. I would say I was about 5 or 6, and it was like the dream to be a politician just because I don't know, it was prestigious. And in school, that was sort of what you learned was the top dog was the prime minister. Everyone wants to be the prime minister. But as I got a little older, new interests, new hobbies, new passions. And now I just see it as a bunch of dorks. People like I want to be a teacher because I like the subject and I like the flexibility and it's very interesting. You're like constantly learning. But to be a politician, you got to be such a not a weasel, but you got to suck up and you got to pander and you've got to pretend to represent the views of everyone. I hate pretending. I am not a pretender. I don't want to lie to people. And so it's just tough. I mean, because I mean, I love Canadian politics. I love Canadian history, but um, it's been too much. And I mean, I'm still only 24, but it's just it's wild to think that people even want to get into politics unless it's for power, right? And I mean part of it is power. Everyone wants to have power and success, but I think you got to want to better your province or your country, and or your riding at the very least. And I just don't see that as much anymore. Or passionate about projects, like passionate about improving your country. And now it's just a more passion about improving your party. Give me a break. I'm sick of it. But yeah, I don't know, like where we are right now in Canadian history, it's so different. It's I guess not really. I mean, I just haven't lived through it, but like Donovan says, every 10 years you go through these phases of politicians and political parties. And right now we're at, and I mean, I see it here in Alberta. There's just so much hate for the Liberals and Trudeau, dating back to old man Trudeau. Like there's just never been that respect. And I can't imagine even working in a position where you're under that much scrutiny and you got to go out and wear a smiley face and pretend everything is okay when clearly everything is not okay and people are pretty unhappy. But then I think about you, like you came from a third world country, and I think about the divisiveness and the like anger there, and it's completely different, right? So actually, Sami, I was going to ask you, so you where you're from India originally?
No, I'm
Or
from Balochistan. Yeah, it is occupied by, technically it is a province of Pakistan. I mean,
okay, Pakistan. Gotcha. Sorry.
no, it's okay. So, but
Um,
the Baluch like are living there, they consider that province Balochistan, which is 44% of Pakistan, and which is occupied by Pakistan. Those folks are struggling. There is just lots of going on. That is completely another discussion.
and then there's the Khalistani movement as well, right? There are
That is
like a
in
couple
India.
things.
Though that is in India.
India. Okay, gotcha. The
Yeah.
reason I bring it up is because I look now in the news
Mhm.
and I see even people from there are protesting in Canada about these issues.
Yeah.
And to me, I think to myself, geez, is that a waste of time on their behalf or not? And as a politician of Canada, how do I deal with that? So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, where it's going to be because we're a globalized country, there's going to be so much uh, animosity amongst other nations that will also become a huge part of the Canadian culture. And I think to myself, geez, are these people wasting their time protesting what's going on the other side of the world here in Canada? Yeah, their voice is being heard by us, but when you've got countries with millions and millions of people over there that are upset, what do they care about what's happening over here? And how is Canada going to make any difference, right?
Mhm.
So, uh, I don't know. It's just there are so many little angles. And I mean, you've got also people just saying stupid things, lying.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know, Sammy. It's just
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, it is just making to highlight their issue, like their this Khalistani movement. It means they want a separate state from India within like Punjab, which is called like their province or state is called, I think in India, like they want a freedom. There were lots of going back in 1984. They bombed Air India, where
Yes.
students and
Yeah.
were killed. And it means that times it is keep going, but their struggle got down, I think, during that era, like the Indian government to I don't know, they did something very well just to push it. Now they are again growing, like, but these movements are being supported from anti-Indian, like Pakistan may support them or any other country, like China and India are very competitive in economy, in terms of economy and technology, like maybe they support it or other country. But what they do are mostly with respect to what I understand, just to highlight their issue, like the people should know more about it. And in US, like they are doing, and the same thing what Baluch are doing, they are highlighting, but they don't get enough coverage because there is no interest for anyone in Balochistan, like when there would be an interest, so they would talk. If there is no interest, no one give a damn about that thing, like this is a fact. So it means these Baluch are also like trying to bring their up issues, but they don't give much coverage about it. So yeah, and one woman was killed in her like dead body was found in Toronto River back in 2020. I don't know if you do recall 2020 or
No, I don't remember that.
yeah, back in 2020, I think. Yeah, no, December 2019.
Wow.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think about all these activists
Mm.
and protests that are going on in Canada,
Yeah.
and I think is it really making an impact over there? You know,
Yeah.
like is it right? You want it to be, of course, you'd think, but uh, I don't know. It's just another thing that politicians are gonna have to deal with in Canada, right?
Mhm.
And there's gonna be more of that. Are we gonna see maybe I wouldn't call it foreign interference, but are you going to see more foreign perspectives within each political party across Canada, right? I think that's good for diversity, but is it on the best in the best interest of Canadians and people in our provinces? Who knows? Who knows? It could very well be, right? I mean, if you are bringing in more employees and people who are willing to work across the nation, then possibly, but it kind of counteracts with the movements, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I said like that's why they are doing it and making more influence with respect to in their politics. Like when there was a protest, I think it was in Alberta or BC. Justin Trudeau was there, and Pierre Pouliot, and that I think that was a Sikh, I don't know, this is just a Sikh, Sikh religious ceremony. Something was there, like I asked Mocha, I think he's a great journalist from Alberta. I think you know him. So he said it mean he also highlight that one. It mean there was a terrorist picture was there. They raised these slogans, despite they call it a religious festival, but it was not about religious festival. This is about their own movement, just to keep growing it. So it means they are keep influencing. So technically or indirectly, you can call it. It is for interference, and yeah, no party would directly call out this Khalistani movement because they know it would cost them in the ballot box. So many people won't vote you. Like either Pierre Pouliot or Justin Trudeau would never call them out. Even Jagmeet Singh is from the same group. Like from same communities. Singh or Sikh, you can call him too. So it means at back time I remember there was an interview with Jagmeet Singh. I think it was with CBC. Jagmeet Singh did not directly condemn the Air India bombing. Like it means,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I don't know. Like then he said, "Oh, I condemn any terrorist or terrorism activity, but you are not particularly calling out that one because you may support it. Like you have connection." So this has been going on, not just particularly with Khalistani movement. We see like these what today's those are fighting against anti-Semitism, or they are fighting against what's happening in Middle East. Like these all are like technically are being happening, and who would support you and who would pay you to do it? Like if I'm working 40 hours a week, I don't have a time to go on these rallies. Like it means there is something, so you are being funded from someone to do this. Like
Yeah.
you cannot on the road for a week. Like since October 7th, these people were on the roads for months, non-stoppable. Like students are bunking their classes, like they are not attending classes, sitting on the camps. So something is behind it, either way, from Jewish or from Muslims or from Arabs, or with respect to if we come to Khalistani movement, or if any Baloch is protesting anywhere, I'm going to call them all out. Means something is behind them. Like I am unemployed, so I cannot go to protest. Like why I don't go. So it means there
Yeah.
is a reason. I don't have any interest, and I'm not being paid for it. You are being paid for it. Maybe there could be a small portion of people whose relatives are there back in. If let's talk about Palestine, like people's family members are dying or being bombed. Yes, those are. But what other people are doing there? Like
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah. And it's easy for someone to say, like someone in Canada, we're so privileged. It's easy to say, well, if you want to protest, we'll go back there and fight and argue about it.
Yep.
But it's it just doesn't work that way.
Yep.
It's not, and I mean, we're a globalist country at its peak. And so we should be leading by example, but a big part of that is also having politicians that know when to talk
Mhm.
about these issues and when not to, when to take positions and when not to. And
Mhm.
very interesting. There's going to be a lot of dilemmas for a lot of politicians over the years,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, your job is to represent best the views of Canadians and your constituents, not elsewhere in the world. But a lot of your constituents, depending on where your riding is, come from those parts of the world.
Yep.
So when do you interfere, right? Yeah, you're right. And then when does Canada get in trouble for foreign interference elsewhere in the world?
Yeah.
Usually it's all these other countries giving Canada trouble. Well, when does Canada start meddling in the affairs of other countries?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I think India called out Canada that it should not interfere in their internal affairs. Like when I think Justin Trudeau, someone was talking about what's happening in India. So it means these are, and with respect to what we are hearing in foreign interference in Hogue Commission, I think it is second round is comes up, and the third round Justin Trudeau will be there, and they will answer lots of question about these one, and they are facing many difficulties to what's happening there, even though they talked, I think, 48 times with China silently. This is what global news like headline was. They like talk with China, maybe not, but the word silently was there. Like you should not interfere. I think 20 times were mentioned that about police station. There are police station in Canada, Chinese police station. But
Hmm.
nobody talks it, and I don't know who, someone I heard that Canadian politicians don't call Chinese or Chinese government or China government, they call it Beijing. Like,
Really?
yeah, how they referred it, like they just don't want to target Chinese Canadian. It is not about Chinese Canadian, it is about Chinese communist regime or Chinese government. Like Michael Chong or Key Chain, I think that person name, or there could be other Chinese Canadian who are more proud to be Canadians, and they have much problem with Chinese communist regime. Like they want to be called out, but they don't want to call it out because they are afraid it would cost them on the ballot box.
Yeah, well, and they also probably want to be a little impartial with Taiwan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean that's a big issue right now with the Chinese is when does that go back to China, or if it does, and does Canada interfere with that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean Canada is still a major player, but it's not the major player or one of the majors, at least in my eyes.
Yeah,
So whose side do we take? Do we take China or do we take
Taiwan.
the Republic of China's, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long, but so let so I don't know, like, how do you have more time? Do you want to talk, or
Yeah, I can talk for maybe another 5, 10 minutes. I was going to ask you one thing.
yeah, please go.
I know
Now you can ask me. Yeah,
the
please.
previous title of this YouTube video, it's changed, but you and Donovan were going to discuss some banjo music.
Yeah, banjo music. Yeah, I wanted to discuss that one. Do you want me to play a music?
Oh, sure. Yeah, play a little tunes. Sure.
So I just want to encourage you just to, okay, let me see if I can.
Can you play, Sammy?
I don't play. I need to play a music. You need to watch just this one. We were talking
Okay.
about this. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
listening.
cannot. I'm just going to play another musician, which his name is Ustad Wasid Farid. So you need to listen to this one.
Okay.
So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I'm still listening. I just got to do something real quick. I'm right here.
Now can you?
Yeah, I see it.
So now
I can't hear it.
can you hear? Yeah.
I can't hear it yet.
Now.
Nope,
Cannot
still
hear it.
nothing.
Now what should I do? No. Okay. You cannot.
I can't hear it, Sammy. If you want, maybe just share the link.
Yeah, I
Check
can
it out.
share the link.
Because that's
You
a
can
different
watch it.
banjo than I'm used to hearing too. I'm used to hearing the banjo, you know, it looks like kind of a drum head with my uncle Curtis, actually. I'll give him a shout out. My uncle Curtis, he's performed banjo with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. He's a very talented musician. He's
Mhm.
currently in a band called the Ham
Okay.
Sandwiches. I'll give you their Instagram
Mhm.
if anyone out there wants to follow. He is a fantastic musician, and their
Yeah.
Instagram is
Mhm.
here. The Ham Sandwiches Band. I don't know if you guys can see that there on Instagram. And my uncle Curtis is in that band. He does a fantastic job.
Okay,
Just musically, he's super talented. But
so now, yeah, please.
no, go ahead, Sammy.
Now you can hear it. Like, let me play it.
Yeah.
Okay, please. So it is 4 minutes. I don't know whenever.
Is that an electric instrument?
Yes, please.
Is that an electric instrument?
What are you saying?
Is it electric?
I think now he's using, he told me once there is an electric, but he also can play the without electric one. But I don't know like whether it is an electric or not. I'm
It
not
sounds very
100%
nice.
sure. But he told me, yeah. Do you want to continue or?
Yeah, we'll hear a little bit more, sure. It's very
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Adam.
That's very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Very clean sounding. It reminds me sort of a like Chet Atkins
Mm-hmm.
or Jerry Reed. Very very twangy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is classical, and this guy is very talented man, but unfortunately he's in Balochistan, and if he would be somewhere else, so he could make. And even though he can play in Hindi music and English, and there is another one in Russian, I think. I don't know what they call it, but he played, like he knows lots of things, but unfortunately he's out of opportunities. There is lack of opportunities for this person. His name is Ustad Rasul Baksh Farid. His name is Rasul Baksh Farid. Ustad, we say master, like a master of something. So you teach someone or a teacher. So that's why
Yeah.
he is referred as Ustad Rasul Baksh Farid or Ustad Farid. But
Well,
he is,
music is the universal language, eh?
pardon me.
Music is the universal
Yes,
language.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's beautiful. That was great sounding. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your uncle like play like music. You said banjo. Is it like that banjo?
No, so that looks like a lap. When I see that, I think that's called like a lap guitar or like a steel guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I think of a banjo, it looks like a drum, like a snare drum head
Uh-huh.
and a stick with I think four strings on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting like how we kind of have different
Yeah.
views of the banjo, but they both sound really nice,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, and there is one more violin in English or in what is called violin, but we have like a fruit that is played like similarly, but it is a different way. I'm not a musician. I don't have knowledge about that one, but that is also like the sound is extremely beautiful. Like that is just it means natural voice or natural, like everything is just made of like I think wood and that is string, like just
Yeah.
they will play. And
Yep.
they yeah, there is another one is called there is one another instrument in Baluchi, tamburak. So tamburak is like just that is made of also wood, but there are three string. I think that is just play with hand finger. Like it will make
Mm-hmm.
a great voice. That is called tamburak, which is early ever now you can find it. But if you watch back, like there is a person, his name is Naku Faiz Muhammad. Naku is just we say uncle, but his name was Faiz Muhammad. So he was a very, like back in 1960 or 70. I think he
Mm-hmm.
also visited France back in, I don't know, but it means back in 70 or 80 there. It means at that time he was a very famous singer and a musician.
Most of my favorite guitar players,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew how to play the guitars, but most of my favorite guitar players play with their fingers, not with a pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's so intricate, it's so challenging
Yeah.
looking, but geez, they can just pull it off. It's unreal. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mark Knopfler. He
Mark.
was in a band called Dire Straits.
Mm-hmm. I know
Uh,
that.
Unbelievable
Wow.
guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
And he was inspired by a lot of banjo players that played just with their fingers. They call it
Mm-hmm.
like Jerry Reed had a song called The Claw, and
Okay.
he would like pick with his fingers, and just watching him do it, it's unreal how coordinated it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean same with that. I mean Buddy with his banjo that lays out there. I mean, that takes so much practice to perfect that sound and get it to ring out the right way. One
Yeah.
day I'm gonna learn. One day,
Yeah.
Sam, you gotta learn too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
planning like if I was always like willing to purchase that banjo and bring it here, but that is huge, like to
Yeah.
give it here, it would cost more money. But I will
Yeah.
try to bring a very small one. Maybe we'll share it with you and Donovan one day.
That would be great. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Sammy. Well, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the road today,
Mm-hmm.
but I hope to see you maybe next Sunday, eh?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hopefully, see you again. And so just please hold on. I just need to finish and have a word with you. Then we go.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Of
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Adam. And thank you
course.
so much, viewers, for watching us for this our weekly live show. And stay tuned for the next week at 3 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Mountains time, and we will be back and with lots of fun. As Don one says, anything can happen. So you just stay tuned and thank you so much for watching and please subscribe to our channel and share it. Thank you. Have a good one.